Hello, everybody, and welcome to Glass to the Wall, episode 98. We are joined from Germany by Sandy Kirchner-Wilson.
Hello.
Mike McCann.
Hey.
And the rated R superstar, Luke Hemming. There he is. And today's show, we have got a packed show for you today. We're going to be talking about our Christmas memories and things that we remember from days of past. We're going to be talking about Sephiroth finally making that Smash debut. We've seen the Sakurai Direct where he's introduced him, and we've got to sort of talk about through our playthroughs with Sephiroth. And then we're going to talk about Cyberpunk 2077. It's an ongoing topic in the gaming industry right now, and just everything that is currently going on in that agenda. And then finally, we're going to be talking about the COVID conventions and whether people will start going back to events in 2021. But first, we are going to talk about the magical kingdom that has become the Nintendo World Land that is at Universal Studios Japan, and will be coming to other Universal Studios in Singapore, Hollywood, and Orlando. So guys, that trailer dropped. It's the first time I think we've seen Shigeru Miyamoto in a very, very long time. What did you all think? Luke, let's start with you.
It's just lovely to see him, wasn't it? It was a beautiful moment to see him pop out of a wall pipe. But I've seen it being built in various media, but it looks a lot more impressive than I expected. It looks like they've just taken it out of Miyamoto's head and slapped it in the real world. It's very exciting.
And Sandy, do you agree with Luke's comments there in terms of, is it that magical world that is in Miyamoto's brain?
It looks very impressive. Like I was kind of taken aback at how they've captured that Mario universe, essentially. And it was nice to see Miyamoto coming back with a big smile on his face.
And this has been talked about for quite a few years. Mike, in terms of the hype that's been building over the last few years and the last few sort of trailers we've seen, and we're showing the B-roll right now, when Miyamoto was walking around the park and you got to see all the sort of little tidbits, is that come as a surprise to you, or is this exactly what you was expecting to see?
I really like the way they sort of gamified. Obviously, it's quite a clever way to have a bit of a souvenir. They announced these watches that you can buy, walk around and then interact with, like question blocks around the park. And obviously that's a way of making money, but at the same time, I thought that's kind of a cool thing, and that does look like a lot of fun as well, just to see and collect things with the phone app as well. It had integration with the phone app. It looked great.
Yeah, they seem to be using those NFC chips that they're using in Amiibo. They said that the wristwatches, I'm fairly certain I picked this up, that the wristwatches are going to act like Amiibo once you take them home. So I'll be very interested to see if they're going to have a Universal Studios app on your Nintendo Switch. There could be a Universal Studios game, just like there was on the GameCube. Oh my god, bring that back. Never even played it, I just remember seeing it. But you never know, there could be an interactive app on your Switch where you bring that data home with you and you can interact with it somehow. I mean, that would be a really cool thing to do. Whether they do it or not is an interesting thing. Luke, what rides would you expect to see? We got a brief snippet of like an introduction to Mario Kart. We never really saw it in action. What kind of other rides would you expect to see?
There's got to be some kind of Luigi's Mansion, hasn't there? Some kind of AR ghost hunting. Strap the vacuum cleaner on. Go around the park. Like, if that's not there, I'd be very boycott. Instant boycott.
There's an arcade machine of
yeah.
Is that what you were just going to say? No.
I was going to say something slightly different, but yeah, there's actually a write-up on Cube 3 about that. I believe I did that when I was living in Japan, of that Luigi's Mansion arcade game. Yeah, you could definitely do something like that. But what I was thinking of at Universal Studios, there's a Men in Black ride where you shoot at aliens and stuff like that. And I can imagine if they're going down the AR route, you could have the same sort of functionality where you're pointing around a gun and you can suck in ghosts or something like that. But
well, they've shown the headsets, haven't they? The headsets for the Mario Kart ride are essentially just Mario's hat with the AR goggles over the top. Just stick Luigi's hat on. A different hat for each ride.
Yes. I think we'll come on to some of the sort of permutations of having AR in some of the rides momentarily. But Sandy, in terms of having a perfect ride at there, so obviously Luke's got Luigi's Mansion. There's a Mario Kart already. What else would you like to see?
I think it would be really cool to see. So Mario Sunshine has a theme park in game, and it'd be nice to see some sort of Peanut Park roller coaster where, Mario fires off the rockets and attacks Bowser at that point. Mecha Bowser? I think it was Mecha Bowser.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool to
Spoilers.
see them adapt something like that.
You guys have got some really good ideas, Luke. Mike. You're going to come out with the brilliant one now, aren't you? Because Sandy's one there and Luke's ones were really good. What have you got up your sleeve?
Mother 3. Bring back Mother 3.
You want to get? I mean, it's a good point. It is Super Nintendo World. It's not necessarily Mario World. But I have a feeling everything there is going to probably be Mario themed. But bring back Mother 3.
And bring back F-Zero. That's what I
Yeah. I mean, F-Zero roller coaster would be quite interesting.
That would be wild.
I'll see why that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Or maybe
So
something Metroid.
Yeah, I would love a Metroid thing. I just don't think it goes down well in Japan. But what would be interesting is and what would make people probably travel to all of the parks is that if they had a specific individual exclusive ride in each of those 4 parks that they've announced it at. So, for example, because Metroid floats better with the American audience, maybe they have the Metroid one in Orlando, and they might have a Pokemon ride in Singapore. I mean, that'd be really harsh to exclude Pokemon from everybody else, but a Pokemon ride in Japan as well, or something like that, and do it that way. But yeah, I think we're going to see a fair few rides there. I'm not quite sure. I can't scale it in my head about how big that area is in comparison to the rest of the park. I used to work at Universal Studios in Florida, believe it or not, and I'm trying to visualize like where that part of the park is going to be and how big it's going to be, because I think in Florida it's taking over where probably I think ET was. I think there's a little space between ET and where the Simpsons is, and that's not a large area for my memory, but I could be completely wrong unless they've decided to change the layout of that park. But hey, they could be expanding onto land that they haven't open to public yet, so that would be very interesting.
You did show the underground section.
That's
as well.
a good point. Yeah.
Maybe the AR stuff. Maybe you can maximize that space with the AR technology.
True. Yeah.
You're sending them all around the park on a Mario Kart. You just send them like 10 foot in a circle.
Rides like The Simpsons and what else am I thinking about? The Simpsons and the Terminator. They are kind of like a theater-style animated moving things. Like so with The Simpsons, it's kind of like a roller coaster, but you're actually just sitting in a thing and you're going like that, and you're not really going anywhere. And they could do probably a few of those, but I don't know how samey it would get. I think Spider-Man does that as well as from my recollection, Spider-Man ride. Okay, so that was 15 minutes of Shigeru Miyamoto. We haven't seen him for a long time. Which should he be using him a bit more often now? Like I think he's 68, coming into 70. He is the father of what we know as Nintendo. He seems to have handed off a lot of the keys to other notable members of Nintendo now. But when would you like to see Miyamoto next? Luke?
Just do a monthly Treehouse. Miyamoto play not Iwata. Miyamoto plays, so every month, Treehouse, new indie game on show. Miyamoto tries it for the first time and tells you what he likes about it, what he would have done better. Every month.
Like, Miyamoto is obviously a big part of all of our sort of Nintendo childhoods. I literally cannot remember the last time I saw him on screen, really. Probably was for Breath of the Wild stuff. Could you imagine him coming back for Breath of the Wild 2 and sort of showcasing that with Eiji Onoma?
I think, yeah, definitely. I think like this, this whole announcement kind of shows that Nintendo is sort of using Miyamoto very selectively and strategically, I think. Because I think without Miyamoto, this might have been a little bit more of a difficult announcement, but it actually made it really joyful and exciting, I think. And I don't think any other way would have been a better way of doing it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think he's taken a bit more of a back seat now, but he's still there. He's still a creative fellow or something, isn't he? So I think they'll probably just be using him a bit more strategically. But I hope he never retires.
Of course. I mean, it must be very difficult to give up that sort of child of his. And I know that, other games in the series, he sort of handed them off to individual directors now, and he just seems to be sort of an overarching, some sort of director or producer himself. Sandy, he's obviously bridged a gap from Nintendo, from making games now, to obviously going to theme parks. I think maybe the next time we could see him would be the Super Mario movie, perhaps? What do you reckon to that?
Sounds like a fairly solid guess.
Turns out he's Mario. Turns out he gave birth to Mario. He claims that he's Mario's father.
To be honest,
some kind of Tom Green movie. But
no, can't say that.
There's every chance they'll cameo his voice or something weird like that in the Mario movie.
Maybe it'll be the new Stan Lee. Like, they'll just keep releasing Nintendo things. Miyamoto will pop up in all of them.
That's actually not a bad idea. Donkey Kong movie, Pikmin movie, Star Fox movie. No, the one thing I wanted to come back to, and just kind of does roll into a topic that we're going to talk about at the end of the show as well, but the coronavirus has obviously been a big issue, and this is opening in February 2021, and that's 2 months from now, basically. Is it, I don't say irresponsible, but is it going to be a bit of an issue, do you reckon, for people going into the park? There's a lot of touching. That you're touching the question blocks, you're punching the question blocks. There seems to be a lot of touching around that park. The AR glasses as well. I mean, they're going to have to be steam cleaned before wearing them. Would you feel comfortable, Luke, going to Super Nintendo World, knowing all of that?
I don't think I would yet. I was surprised that they were still sticking to such an early release date. I would have thought maybe after the summer, just to see how things are going, because there's no sign of this going away for a while. And I've been to theme parks. You wait in 3 hours for a ride sometimes, as it is, to go through all of this process, which I do believe they would do. I've got no doubt that they would operate all the right things that they need to keep everyone safe, but just thinking of the time element of it.
It seems weird to me, because obviously I don't know the operations of USJ at the moment. I don't know if Universal are limiting numbers of people in the parks. Normally at this time of year, theme parks aren't really open, or they because of seasonal weather and stuff like that. February in Japan is still pretty cold. Cherry Blossom Trails start happening a month after that, so maybe they're opening it up just so they can trial it out, and then by the summer it's operational and fully operational. I don't know if they're still going ahead with the Olympics next year in Japan, so there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. I can imagine the footfall there is going to be so high anyway. Mike, do you think this will be open on February the 5th and closed by March 31st?
It's very possible, isn't it? I mean, it's it's a fluid, ever-changing situation at the moment. So they've got to sort of crack on. They have to announce things. We can't wait forever. There will be an end eventually, and when there is, we'll go visit Nintendo World Land. So yeah.
and Sandy, kind of just owing to what Luke and Mike just said there, in terms of safety in the park, would you want to go in February? Would you want to go on launch date, for example, if you had the opportunity to?
I mean, I think it's quite difficult because we were all from the UK EU perspective, and for us, we know what we have, and I don't think anything like that could open here at that point in time in February. But I feel like maybe from the Japanese perspective, maybe their handling of the virus is totally different. And maybe it is looking safe enough for them to open it in February. I think if I was there, I would consider going for opening. But there's always that little bit in your brain going, maybe just wait until summer, wait until autumn next year before you do something like that.
Yeah, I guess I got quite excited because they did address this in the Super Nintendo World trailer, and definitely go and watch that as well. I know we're not showing any footage of that right now, but go and watch that. It's a great sort of 15-minute of Shigeru Miyamoto walking around, but towards the end there, he does address the fact that coronavirus is happening, and that they know that a certain number of people cannot visit at the moment, which is why they're obviously opening it up at Hollywood, Orlando, and Singapore. I don't think that was a new decision. A fairly certain, they had pre-announced that years ago that it was coming to those parks anyway. So I got slightly excited that they might have decided to open it elsewhere, especially at least a European location. That would be great. But I guess we're just going to have to wait and see how popular those parks are going to be. I mean, there's so much more we could talk about, and we do have to move on to a next topic. But just things like I just want to bring up things like the food stores, the merchandise, the experiential stuff, the photos that you could probably get taken there as well, in terms of the photo booths and everything else that you come away with. The music that's going to be playing in the background, they did sample some of that. Mike, do you happen to have, or Sandy or Luke, anyone, do you happen to have any other ideas of quick little things that people should look out for before we move on?
I was thinking that though when they showed the Mario and the Luigi costume and they were pristine. I was thinking, how long are they going to stay like that for?
I'm just going for the popcorn.
Yoshi.
Those popcorn holders, that's why I'm going. They looked fantastic. If you could walk out with one of them, like after you've bought the popcorn, but I'm assuming the popcorn costs like $20 to be able to take that plastic popcorn holder home.
Possibly.
I think like that. This is not exclusive to Nintendo. You go to Universal and you've got Harry Potter merchandise that people will go crazy for. You've got Jurassic Park stuff and Ghostbusters stuff, and they've got loads of themed stuff there that people can buy in the shop. So I can imagine it'll be on par with the other things. I can't imagine it'd be a Nintendo premium. I think the main premium there would be its rarity of being able to find it, because people will be buying it up straight away.
Those little Marios, they're probably gone.
The little walking Mario thing that you can push along.
That's such a great idea, because you'd think they would go something just big but no functions, just a nice big Mario slap Super Nintendo World on the front of it, but they've made a little walking Mario, like little innovative little.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I want? What I want is a and I think people are going to do this anyway, because some of those question blocks are at head height, and I want to be able to do like jump and like crash a block with my head, or something to come out of the block. So what they need to do is, like, I don't know, have a breakable block that when you jump up, something like a fire flower comes out or something, or a coin. I don't know how that's going to work, but people are going to be trying that and probably get concussions and stuff in the park.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder how long until like there's going to be a sign there saying, please do not jump and hit with your head.
Maybe they sell the Mario construction helmets.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. That would be a great idea. I mean, just breakable blocks. Imagine being able to take home an actual block. I mean, people would try to take them off the walls, wouldn't they? Steal them.
On a personal note, the burger looks exquisite. The one that they showed in those photos. But you have to question Toad's cooking mushrooms.
Yeah, that's also very true. There is some really good food. I was expecting to see some Italian delicacies, given Mario's love for pizza and pasta. I guess that's more in the cartoons and stuff like that, and I don't think they're canon necessarily. But
there's no plumbers here.
This is true. But anyway, if you haven't watched this 15-minute segment yet, go over and watch it. I know we've pretty much talked about everything, but just seeing the glee on Miyamoto's face is magical. But what else is magical is Christmas. And this year, we're actually going to talk through our favourite Christmas memories and things that we've celebrated over Christmases with relation to gaming. Sandy, I'm going to start with you. In terms of your favourite Christmas gaming memory, and why was it special?
So, I think my most special gaming Christmas memory is getting my family PS1. So it wasn't specifically for me, but I remember unwrapping some presents and finding Toka Touring Cars by Codemasters. That was, I'm sure that's a Codemasters one.
Yeah,
in my pile, like before we had unwrapped the PlayStation, I was like, I know what this is gonna be, and just having that kind of like rush of excitement, and then unpacking it all, making my dad plug it all in and make everything work, and then playing the PlayStation for the rest of the day and ignoring my family and generally evolving into some sort of weird hermit.
Do you remember what year this was, roughly? 2000, on the 90,
like 2000, maybe 98
yeah.
or something.
When you say the
Something like
PS1, do you mean like little small portable style?
Yeah, like the round one rather than the original blocky one.
Yeah, so you're probably looking
after
around
the blocky
2000, I
one.
guess. I'm just trying to think now. Is Toka Infogrames? Or was it
Oh,
Codemasters? Not sure.
Infogrames is the one with like the squiggly logo, right? Like a telephone cable, and then their name underneath it.
Yeah.
If it's that, then Toka is Infogrames.
Like the three and then the line. And then with on the top of it.
Everyone look at it. Oh, it does say published by Codemasters.
But yeah, it was also
developed by. No, it was developed by Codemasters as well.
yeah. It was also exciting in that game to find that our local racetrack was actually one of the featured tracks in the game. One of the only racing tracks in Scotland. Knockhill Racing Circuit.
Okay, well, yeah, Sandy, no, I mean, the PlayStation is definitely very synonymous sort of system and Christmas present for many people. Mike, what about yourself? Do you happen to have any Christmas memories of past? Doesn't necessarily have to be about PlayStation, it could be anything.
The one that always sticks with me is getting the Mega Drive 2, because I'd had like a NES as a pass me down for years and years and years, and I just played that to death. And then the Mega Drive 2, like it was like the version 2, was the first sort of like legitimate console I had just for myself. And I just remember the excitement of like opening it under the tree. It was like the Nintendo 64 kid. It was like that. It like blew my mind, and probably what has set me on the course of being a gamer now for the rest of my life. So that's the one that always sticks with me.
Yeah. I'm actually going to go now because Mike's just stole my thunder, but I basically was the Nintendo 64 kid in 1998. Obviously not knowing the Nintendo 64 kid even existed because internet really wasn't what it was. But back in 1998, I remember I got my Nintendo 64 with GoldenEye, Mario Kart 64, another controller, and sat there playing it the whole time. I remember going around my house like pretending I was like James Bond with like a little gun. Everyone here probably really did love GoldenEye, Mario Kart 64 as well. So those were my first two games. It's really interesting. I didn't have Super Mario 64 for quite a while. I had played it at my cousin's years prior to that, but no, I have to remember Christmas '98 is probably my most synonymous one. I think what ended up happening was I didn't get too many Christmas presents after that. I think come around like 2002 or so, I was working as a paperboy, and I was buying my own games, and it became very difficult to buy me gifts because I wouldn't necessarily ask for stuff. So I think I haven't had too many gaming related Christmases, but 98. And then I remember Christmas 2000. I got Majora's Mask for Christmas and played that all over Christmas. Those are my two biggest ones. Luke, what about you? What was your gaming memory and why was it special?
1996, I think. And I had pretty much the opposite of Sandy's. So I had my NES, same as Mike. Never went onto the next console into the 16 bits because I figured quantity over quality, get as many NES games as I could for cheap, because the SNES isn't going to be that much better, or Mega, which is like a massive mistake.
How old are you guys? Like 45?
With the NES, Duck Hunt, that stuff.
Luke's got a Commodore 64.
I have, yeah. I've still got.
You were day one in the queue for Atari 2600, weren't you?
My brother came over the other day and he was like, "Oh, you've bought another Nintendo," and I was like, "Nope, that's the same one." He's like, "But it's still plugged into your TV." It's like, yeah, these things are indestructible. But
he's sitting there. He's gone to Japan, 1983 Famicom release. Like, yeah.
Just
he's looking very young for you.
Went in the room, just knocking, sending messages out. But yeah, my nan came over and the usual kind of stuff for Christmas. But I had that nan moment where she handed me a gift and opened it up, and it was Wipeout for the PS1. And I didn't have a PS1, I had a Nintendo. And my Christmas just dropped. But she was so excited to give it to me, like, "Oh, this is thanks, I don't want to play it now. It'd be rude to play it in front of you when you're all here. I'll play it when you've gone." I was absolutely gutted. And then my mum walked in and went, "Why have you opened that?" I was like, "Oh, it's off my nan." Right, give that back. Like, literally took it off me, took it away, and then come back with this big rectangular box and was like, "This is what you should have opened." I opened it up, and it was a PS1, and like, I don't think the hype would have been as great, but seeing that PlayStation logo in the bottom corner, then yeah, like Mike said, like Nintendo 64 kid, and having Wipeout as well. I didn't know her at the time, but greatest racer ever made.
There we go. We've got Psygnosis versus Codemasters. It's like the 90s racing British wars all over again. No, I think, this Christmas, every Christmas, people are going to be getting gifts and sharing memories. I wonder how many scalpers have cruelly taken away PlayStation 5s and Xbox Series X's away from people this Christmas.
I've taken one away from children.
I mean, do you think Christmas memories are limited to our childhood, though? Sandy, have you had anything more in your adulthood, for example, where you've got a Christmas memory, or anything that you'd be doing this Christmas?
I can't. Just nothing is coming. I remember the childhood ones. Genuinely struggling.
The way I would look at it is, I think I've been playing my Switch obviously a lot over Christmas, and it's a bit more nostalgic. Maybe people are more likely to buy things that they got at Christmas around this time of year. So I guarantee a lot of people are probably buying Super Mario 3D Collection, All Stars even. I do wonder. I mean, Luke, you and I obviously are absolutely nostalgic about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. We'll talk more about that in next week's show. But yeah, it's games like that I think could do really well over Christmas periods. The Crash games, the Spyro games, probably because a lot of those people that were playing those games then are now buying games like that for their kids. And so those games could sell really well over Christmas. Have I bought you any time? Have you thought of something?
Well, you see, the biggest problem is almost all of my gaming memories, like the sort of big ones, are birthdays. Like when I got my GameCube, it was birthday. Nintendo Wii was birthday. And yeah, ever since then, I can't pull out anything specific. I definitely spend almost all my
birthdays in the Wilson household.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Mike, throwing it to you, Luke as well. Any of you that could have thought about it? Any more recent Christmas memories?
So it just all blurs into one, doesn't it, as you get older?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I it's the same issue that I have. I buy everything for myself now that I want, so people don't tend to buy me gaming gifts.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then it's kind of seen as an antisocial thing.
Yeah. Speaking of Tony Hawk's 1 and 2, that is the only thing I pretty much asked my family for, so I'm hoping I might get that for Christmas, but that'll be pretty much the only gift I get this Christmas, hopefully.
I spoke to your mum. She's got no idea what you're talking about.
No, she didn't. Yeah. I sent it to her on WhatsApp. She doesn't know how to use it. It's pointless.
So spoilers. I've and hopefully my nephew's not listening, but I got my nephew Starlink Battle for Atlas this Christmas. Yep. And I was gonna until the recent restrictions were put in place, I was gonna obviously be with him, and I've got practically all of the Toys to Life elements of that. I've got most of the weapons, most of the ships, and so I got him the physical version, and I got him an extra ship or two, I think, it was a weapons pack. So I've kitted him out a little bit, but I wanted to be there and play it with him. I was gonna let him scan the rest of my stuff in. I wasn't gonna let him keep it, but he could scan it in. He'll get it for like 7 days, and then gives him some incentive to get through some of the game quicker. But and now we're not going to have that, and so I really kind of wanted to sit there and play it with him. But unfortunately, it's not going to work. But at the end of the day, I think it's now about making other people's memories. It's how philanthropic I am. I can't even say that word. About giving.
Your Jerry Springer moment.
Yeah, exactly. It's about giving those memories now, I think, and I think going into the future, eventually, just it will be about trying to make those memories for potentially my kids in the future, or other people in that sense for Christmas. Yeah.
I mean,
video games are a great way of doing that.
Yeah. In that vein that you were talking about, Neil, a couple of years ago, I say a couple. It's probably like 5 now, but I gifted both my brothers Animal Crossing New Leaf back on the 3DS, and gave one of my brothers my old 3DS as well because he didn't have one. And yeah, we had like a Christmas of everyone playing Animal Crossing and like building up their towns and stuff. That was a good time.
Well, I mean, are you guys going to be doing that this Christmas? I mean, Luke, Sandy, you're all big Animal Crossing players, really, aren't you? You guys
I think
going to be jumping in there?
This might be the Christmas memory that you were talking about. With everything going on at the moment, these past couple of days, I've started to feel it. Been feeling pretty down about it. But my partner's just started playing my copy of Animal Crossing, and just seeing the town in winter, seeing those Christmas lights up. I think that's going to be a really, really big memory for this year. I think that might be the defining one. Just having that Christmas, if only in a virtual space. And I saw Sandy was on there earlier as well.
Spending hours redesigning my island.
Are you guys, and Mike, are you going to be playing anything multiplayer as well over Christmas with anyone, or single player experiences?
Absolutely, yeah. I think, I mean, it's a great way to connect. I mean, me and Luke were playing Among Us the other day, trying to get in and trying to get a bit on the hype, but I haven't really had a chance to play that before sort of the Christmas break, and as we're sort of leading into it and the things are dying down a bit. So it's always a good time to sort of do that, and then obviously we can't hang out together in person, so we can do it in games, and that's great.
Yeah. No, I was actually the other thing. I mean, I've bought this for myself, but Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. I've not actually played the other two either, but I bought it, and I didn't buy it for this reason. But I was going to play it over Christmas with my nephews as well, because I figured they'll be into the Marvel universe and we can get through some of the game together. And it's a shame that we won't be able to do that.
Is that online multiplayer as well?
That means that they'll probably need the game though, and I'm not giving.
I've got the game. I'm just wondering.
Oh right.
But I'm sure your nephews are lovely, but if you wanted to finish it.
Yeah, I think there probably is online multiplayer. I've not even unwrapped it yet. I've not even opened it. I bought it the other week.
Have you played Hyrule Warriors yet, Neil?
Ashamedly, no. I played the demo when it first came out. I had it day one, or it came maybe a couple of days later. But because it coincided with the PlayStation 5 release, and obviously how much I've loved that since receiving it, I just got very distracted at the time, and I just haven't had a chance to play it. So I've got loads of games I could play this Christmas that I've not even opened yet. I could have my own sort of Christmas gaming session, which I probably will do. But yeah, it's going to be a very strange year. Sandy, like you said, I think Animal Crossing is going to be a big winner for Nintendo. Just in general, I think a lot of people are going to be on Animal Crossing. But there's another game that people might be playing and fighting over, and that would be Super Smash Brothers. I think a lot of people are going to be getting Super Smash Brothers. Like we did the other week. It's been 2 years since that game came out, and I guarantee you it's going to be up there as one of the best Christmas sellers. I think the iconic Nintendo characters that are in there probably make it a very appealing game for a Christmas present. But more so, people are going to be playing it because of Sephiroth's inclusion in Fighters Pass 2. Mike, have you had the opportunity to jump in yet with Sephiroth?
I haven't, I'm afraid. I haven't bought any of the Fighter Pass characters, so so a good one to start on. But
yeah,
I do think about buying the Fighter Pass though, like when all of them are released, and I just think maybe I'll just get them all in one whack and enjoy them rather than wait for the drip. I kind of like the idea of just getting them all in one go. So, and
there might be a combination. There might be a Fighters Pass 1 and 2 that they sell for, I don't know, £34 or something like that. Mate.
Yeah, and you do more likely get it, even though Nintendo never really discounts. But there's the possibility it might get discounted, and that'll be when, if it does, that'll be when I'll jump in.
Yeah. Luke, what about yourself? So, have you got any of the Fighters Pass characters?
Not until now.
Okay, so this is your first one. So you didn't get Banjo or Terry or any of the others, or
Final Fantasy 7 characters in Smash Brothers. Yeah, it's never in doubt, is it?
Yeah. And so how you
don't
find
like Final Fantasy 7, do you?
I've heard that it's good, but it's before my time. Like 1996.
Before your time, you're talking
Yeah.
about getting a NES on day one.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII, greatest game of all time, hands down. So yeah, this was a no-brainer. I might have even considered buying the whole Fighter Pass just to give him a go.
Did you participate in that Sephiroth challenge? Did you unlock him straight away, or did you?
I
have a
did,
bit
yeah.
difficult
I bought the, I think it was £5.36 for the Sephiroth challenge. Played with Cloud first time because you have to, and yeah, unlocked it first time, which I was pretty chuffed about. I've gone back in on occasion to try it on the harder modes, but got lucky on that first one, and yeah, unlocked him. It's great.
Nice. And Sandy, what about yourself? Big Smash player, right? Is he been part of your roster now?
He is not yet. I did look him up. I thought about buying him, but I dropped money on something else. So he'll have to wait a little bit longer, and then I'll punch him in the face. So we'll see how
Fair
that
enough.
goes.
And so obviously you can play against him online. I've been playing myself online, and he's destroyed my GSP on Samus. Luke, do you think he's overpowered?
He's a bit of a Ganon, isn't he? He's slow, but when he gets there, and that reach as well. I feel like you're not getting back on a ledge once you're off and he's standing there. He's just holding his sword out, just tapping you.
This is the reason why I'm using Samus. Actually, I feel like Samus was the first person I thought that I could actually fight against Sephiroth because obviously she's got a long range set of weapons. Her can't remember what it's called now. The whip. It's not a whip, but the can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, the electro whip thing.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not playing 067. I'm playing as.
What's it called?
Yeah,
the
grappling hook.
Grappling hook. Jeez, yeah. Grappling link.
Grapple beam.
Grapple beam. There we go.
Yeah.
Beam sounds good.
I promise we are Nintendo fans. Honestly, I do. It's so much harder when you get put on the spot and all the bright lights. Yeah.
Which one's Samus?
Has
That's the boy, isn't it?
Yeah. I feel like I've been able to contest Sephiroth, but honestly, I feel like there are some like that sort of up smash where he just has a sword that just goes all the way around him. It's just ridiculously long. I feel, I don't know, Luke. Does it feel satisfying, or does it feel like you're cheating? It probably does feel like the latter.
Oh yeah, totally cheating. But that's what I'd expect from Sephiroth. Like, I don't want to go in on a level playing field when I'm playing a Sephiroth. I want to just be able to mop the floor with everyone because he's Sephiroth. You know, only Sora and Cloud can take him. So, and Sora's not in it, so he's sorted. I'm all for cheating. I'm not a good enough player for that.
But then why couldn't I don't know. I mean, in my mind, Mewtwo should be then more powerful, because he's the badass of Pokemon.
He shouldn't even
technically get beaten.
Maybe he doesn't stand on the stage even, just hovers away and just lifts people out.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about Mewtwo is that I don't think Mewtwo's ever been beaten, right? I don't know. Maybe he has.
Leaves,
There's a lot of
he?
Pokemon. Yeah, he just leaves. Everyone starts crying. Just leaves.
Ash in the original game.
I mean, well, yeah, that's true. He catches him, right? But I mean, all right, smart ass. In terms of Fighters Pass value in general, because like you said, it's £5.36. Is that worth it? I mean, Luke, I'm not going to ask that to you because I think you'd pay anything. But in general, for characters, do you think £5.36, where you get a couple of tracks and a new stage, Mike, is that a decent price?
I think that's the thing that's holding me back from purchasing one of them, because I really wanted to get Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo and Kazooie, but it is a bit of a steep asking price, especially when you can compare it to buying the Fire Emblem game that they just put out, which I know is a NES game, but it's a whole game, for the same asking price.
You could even say something like Among Us, right? Among Us is going for like £3 or £4, whatever it is.
Absolutely. So you have So that's where I kind of equate it, and then you kind of go, I've played the game a lot, you know what I mean? I've put a lot of hours into it. Is this going to attract me to play so much more, or is it just going to be coax me in for a short little while longer, and then it's a fleeting thing, isn't it? You know what I mean? So I think if they brought it down to somewhere like £3, I think that will probably be the kind of impulse buy area for me personally.
I'm just trying to think what it was on Smash 4 for 3DS and Wii U. Was it you could pay like £5 and get it on one, but you could pay it for like £6 or £7 and get them on both?
Yeah.
I think, wasn't it? Something like that. I think the Fighters Pass, officially Nintendo sell them for £27. It's selling £26.99, I think, is the retail price in the UK. So you put those two together, and that's essentially the recommended retail price of the actual full game. And even that's quite steep, really, for a Switch game. £52 is what I tend to see Smash going for. Sandy, is that prohibitively expensive?
Well, I mean, obviously it turned me away when I went to look the other day. Ended up with Bayonetta instead. But, I mean, individual characters I think are too expensive for my liking. Like, I wouldn't want to drop between £5 and £6 on one person and a couple of stages or whatever. But I feel like the overall Fighters Pass 1, I felt was worth it when that was all announced and everything. And Fighters Pass 2, it really depends on who they next announce, whether I'm going to dive into that or not. Otherwise,
Yeah.
Sephiroth might just remain a distant memory, as he wants to be.
Well, speaking of expensive things, and things that aren't necessarily always worth the money, we can move on to our next topic, which is Cyberpunk 2077. Because Cyberpunk is a lot more expensive than £5.39 or whatever it is. That's a full retail price game. It's a game that has stirred up such a mass of controversy since its release. Not probably because of the content, but maybe more of the performance issues, and we've talked about that on the show quite a few times now. But the news just keeps on going, really. Microsoft and Sony have sort of issued warnings. Sony are issuing refunds. They've removed it from the PlayStation Store entirely for now. This is a bit of a disaster, right? Luke, tell me, you've been playing the game. You're entitled to a refund. You've been playing it on PlayStation 4, correct?
PlayStation 5, but yeah, the PS4 version.
Would you refund it? Is this where you're going to think, right, I'm going to get out and get my money back?
From what I'm seeing of PS4 versions, if I was playing it on the PS4, I think I probably would have. But I think that saving grace is that the PS5 is just keeping it running. It is such a good game, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work like 80% of the time.
Yeah. I mean, when do you think the controversy will end?
February, with they've promised a really big update in February, I think, which should fix everything. But I was speaking to Mike just before this, and this is the first time since release where my graphical settings have been saved, and what was the other thing that actually? Oh, it didn't break. Yeah, it didn't crash at all. that major thing.
That whole thing.
Yeah,
So
I played like half hour.
It
It didn't
patch
shut
over the
down.
weekend, right?
Yeah. But the patch crashed it for me and broke all my settings on the first load up. So that was probably the worst crash I had, was when that update went in. But I played for half hour today, which would guarantee a crash usually. And yeah, nothing so far. You've seen some of the screenshots I've sent you, though, that strange things are happening in Night City.
And Mike, where do you think it all went wrong? Like, why they've been working on this game for quite a long time? Where did it all go wrong? Why did they release this?
It is a shambles, isn't it? I mean, 8 years and it still releases in this state. It's really not a good look. It makes you wonder. You know, because like Luke, I'm playing the game and I'm generally having quite a good experience with it. But then you look at the news stories and I kind of feel a bit guilty about it, because personally, I do think it's a bit unacceptable to be developing a game for so long and still launch with these kind of issues. a lot of people are talking about a conflict between, board trustees and the developers and the marketeers. That there's some kind of breakdown in communication there because the developers were told that the game was ready in January to go. I think it was early on this year that they said the game is done, it's complete, and then they're only finding the news as we are, perhaps, a lot of them, because I'd assume that they're just working on a very small section of it, and they don't really know what the bigger picture is until the launch. So I don't know. It's really not a good look, and it's something. Even though I'm sort of enjoying the game, CD Projekt have damaged their reputation forever for me personally, and I'd imagine that's the same way for a lot of people as well.
Yeah. Now, so Eurogamer, I think via the New York Times, have reported that the CD Projekt Red investors may sue over the Cyberpunk 2077's materially misleading information. There's a article on Eurogamer from Vicky Blake, and it's the fact that their investors are now suing. It's what a mess of a situation that this is. It is a shame, like you said. Both of you said that there seems to be a really good game underneath the performance issues and the bugginess. Like you say, that there seems to be a communication breakdown, not only from internally but externally as well. The fact that the members of the press are having to go in and seek this stuff out, and the fact that they tried to deceive the press, is they knew what they were doing. It's a bit different by that point.
I think there's a lot of a backlash as well, because I think a lot of people have had to limit their expectations of what Cyberpunk is when they're playing it, and that's not there's something going on there as well, why that's the case as well.
Sandy, again, I know this is a topic that we've talked about probably the last 4 weeks running now. Do you think there's going to be any changes for yourself once they fix this? I mean, to be honest, in one way, having it in the news constantly is keeping it front and center of mind. It does mean that I'm actually being exposed more to Cyberpunk than I probably would have been. I'm probably paying more attention to it. Are you paying attention to this running story?
Yeah, definitely. Can't escape it. It's everywhere. My Twitter feed is just videos of bugs and the occasional someone going, "This game is amazing," and sharing all these beautiful screenshots and stuff. I mean, I'm a lover of the whole cyberpunk aesthetic, and I think the game is definitely something that's right up my alley. I don't know if I need to wait for a fix as such, but I think that in the condition the game is in, I'd be reluctant to drop money on it, especially with the suits and developers and teams and even some of the less polite fans. I don't really want to interact or fund either side of that discussion, in case it all blows up in people's faces again. Come February, when the patch doesn't fix anything and they have to remove it from stores again or something weird like that.
Yeah, it is really strange. There are games that have been released in sort of buggy fashion before. There are indie games that get released and get through on the PSN or Xbox or Nintendo stores, Steam especially, that are broken messes, and people don't seem to flag that up as much of an issue. But I guess the difficulty about this is that this is a AAA game that has TV spots, YouTube adverts, has mass marketing behind it. And by the way, they're still continuing to do this. I saw an advert just before we started on TV for Cyberpunk, and I'm thinking, like, why?
I think it's still selling as well. One of my work colleagues the other day bought the PC version on the weekend, and he knows about all of the issues, but he's just like, I just want to experience this game, because it's a hot topic at the moment.
It's just interesting that this controversy is actually breeding more sales. I'll be very, very interested to see where it's actually tracking in the charts. But it is quite unprecedented that Microsoft have put out a warning, and I'm just going to read out this warning. Users may experience performance issues when playing this game on Xbox One consoles until this game is updated. Cyberpunk 2077 is an open-world action-adventure story set in Night City, and it goes on to continue there. But there is a little bit of a warning at the start there on the Microsoft Store before you purchase. They haven't decided to pull it, but they are issuing any refunds for anyone who's bought it prior to this. I think the deceptive thing is that parents might not know about this controversy, and they're seeing the TV adverts thinking that could be a cool present for little Jimmy, and then little Jimmy opens it and he's going to be really disappointed and he's going to want a refund, and it's going to be really difficult to do that. February is going to be a defining month for them. I think their stock has gone down hugely due to the situation. And you guys are probably thinking it's not such a big deal as everybody else is making out. Sandy and I are sitting on the outside. We're sitting on the other side of the fence where we're kind of seeing this wagon of hatred towards CD Projekt Red, and I think both of you are quite, Mike and Luke, you're defending it quite vehemently, really, aren't you? To an extent.
I think we could both agree that it doesn't work. Mike has had better experience than me, but
I haven't had the crashes or anything like that, but it's still buggy. It's still very buggy.
And I totally agree that for a AAA title in 2020, this shouldn't be happening. But there is a really good game there, but I totally agree with Mike that people have set their expectations so high for it. And who doesn't love a bit of controversy? I'd like to see how many people who are making these comments have a copy or have experienced a copy, because I'd be the same if I didn't have this game. I would be the same as Sandy, just seeing these hilarious graphic errors and just thinking, why would anyone purchase this at the moment when this is happening?
Yeah.
But there is a good game there. It's not. What would you say, Mike? It's not the be all and end all, is it?
No, absolutely. I mean, when you play the game is an RPG. It's exactly what you would expect the makers of Witcher 3 to make after Witcher 3. And I think people have had this GTA element, expecting it to be a much more open and interactive world. But I think the truth is that, like, CD Projekt Red might have bitten off a bit more that they could chew as well themselves. Like, I think there's an ambition there with it. But I think that the technicalities of creating an open world in a bustling city is very different from the rural settings of, like, The Witcher. They made The Witcher 3 times before they struck gold, and then they've completely changed tack. And I'm not sure they're ready. I'm not sure they were ready to do it, personally.
Well, the tail of the tape here, so I'm just going to go to Metacritic. The Xbox One version has only had 9 critic reviews, believe it or not, has a score of 54, has a user score of 4.5. This is the Xbox One version, and the user score based on 3,238 ratings. The 54 is relatively quite high because there's an outlet, Xbox Tavern, given it 94, Xbox Achievements is given it an 85, and the Daily Star is given it an 80. But then everything else behind that is given it 4s and 5s and 3s, which has brought that score down. The PlayStation 5 Metacritic score has been done by 23 critics and has a Metascore of 55, so that's 1 higher than the Xbox One at 54. So it's based on 23 critical reviews, and again, very more average on PlayStation. There's a few more lower ones. The user score is 3.3. That's compared with 4.5 on the Xbox One, remember? Based on 8,410 ratings. The PC version fares much better. It had 75 critic reviews, and you can see probably that CD Projekt Red have been giving out a lot more PC codes as opposed to any of the other consoles. The Metacritic score on the PC version is 86. That's much higher, so that's 54 for the Xbox, 55 for the PlayStation 4, and 86 for the PC. The user score is even higher. It's based on 23,000 ratings, and that's 7.1. So it shows that obviously people are preferring the PC version, and if they can emulate that PC version on consoles, it looks like it could be one of the games of the year, but unfortunately it might be one of the games of next year instead.
I think the experience I'm getting is as close to the PC as I'm going to get. And if it stops crashing every half hour, I'll take the bugs, and because it looks great and it plays well. That's all I need. But what I don't need is the constant thought in the back of my head that how long have I got before this goes down for me again, and I don't want to be saving every 5 minutes just for my own sanity.
Now, what's really interesting is that obviously part of the lead up to a game or marketing towards a game would be showcasing it at events. And I think a lot of the issues that are present right now in Cyberpunk, if they had exhibited it at Gamescom or TGS or wherever else they would have been, that have done events, say in sort of the summer part of the year, the latter half of the year, Comic-Con and EGX, they would have been showcasing it and people would have noticed those bugs. Maybe next year in February 2021 and forward, there will be events coming up. Maybe they could showcase them there. The thing is, though, guys, would you be comfortable to go to a post-COVID convention? Do you think it's possible that you guys would go and play games at these places? When do you think they will be returning? Sandy, in terms of events in a post-COVID world, where would you go, and would you feel safe doing?
I mean, I suspect that events might start returning late summer 2021. I'm fully expecting Gamescom in Germany to be running in some magnitude. I'm not sure exactly what. Maybe like limited numbers, maybe 2 or 3 press days instead of their usual one. And I'd 100% be happy going to somewhere, so long as they say this is our rules. You know, keep distant, keep moving, and one-way systems and all that stuff. But I don't think I'd be that comfortable doing anything before that. I think we definitely need the more vulnerable people to have received all their vaccines and stuff like that before I'd be happy going to places with lots of people. And I'd maybe wait for my own vaccination before I actually went into it.
Yeah. Now, all of us attend conferences, exhibitions and stuff like that, in the events scene. Luke, we were actually going to meet earlier this year for EGX Rezzed, which I think is around March, April time. Would you feel comfortable going if they were to do a Rezzed, which is just for the listeners outside of the UK, EGX Rezzed is more of an indie showcase of smaller developers. Sometimes there are larger ones there as well, but showcases the smaller guys. Luke, would you feel a bit more comfortable going to that event in March, April?
I think I would be, but I think Sandy's hit the nail on the head. Maybe increase those press days. Maybe we're not ready yet to be bringing the general public back, but maybe have the press that I say this now because I can swing it, and it's like no. But have those press days, have specific slots. You know, have that, maybe that anonymity of people not all bunched together. You've got your quarter of an hour with this game. We'll bring you in, we'll show you it, make your notes, head out, keep that system moving. I think I'd be comfortable doing that, but I certainly wouldn't be comfortable having experiences in EGX before. I am not going to be queuing for 4 hours, you know, top to tail with people. That's not right. Just that bunched up idea of things, though. I don't think that can happen at the moment.
Yeah, and Mike, in terms of touching things at the events, so like controllers and stuff like that, do you feel comfortable sort of just being able to, you know, go up to that kiosk and grab a controller or a VR headset?
I have to say, I'm not keen on it in normal circumstances, let alone pandemic circumstances. So I don't know, like they really have to have their T's crossed and their I's dotted or whatever for me to feel comfortable. But I can't see being comfortable a long way off now. Probably, I mean, it's probably going to be 2022.
Yeah, I have to admit, I wanted to go to Gamescom. I wanted to go to E3 this year as well, and I feel like we've been robbed of those, because I feel like when big consoles come out, and at the moment they're coming out like one every 6, 7, 8 years. I'm not talking about those middle consoles either. That's not a big deal. But I think going to E3 this year, we would have seen the Xbox and the PlayStation. I reckon they would have been there in some capacity. Whether we got to see the box or not, I think they would have drip fed things out at E3 and Gamescom. And I don't know when I would feel comfortable. I don't really feel comfortable going to the supermarket, and there's not that many people in there in comparison to like what would be at an exhibition. I think of Comic-Con, right, and I think of tens of thousands of people flooding the Excel, which is currently being used as a hospital now anyway. So I don't think anyone's going there anytime soon.
Ideal.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonder why everyone was dressed as nurses. It was really weird.
Yeah. So again, just for outside of the UK, the place where we normally host Comic-Con in the UK has been turned into a huge hospital now, a makeshift hospital for particular COVID-19 patients. And these have been set up in exhibition centres across the country. I think there's one in Manchester. Sandy, is there one in Scotland? Is there like one in Edinburgh or something? Or?
I don't think so. I think our MCM Comic-Con hall is still free for
still
exhibitions.
There. Okay. Hasn't been taken over by the Nightingale hospitals just yet. So obviously what we have seen in lieu of all of these sort of events, we've had digital events. Have you guys been happy with the digital events that have taken place this year?
I've enjoyed them. I feel like I've taken part in a lot more than I would have physically, and it kind of feels like a level playing field. I feel like I've experienced everything anyone else would, as opposed to standing in a line for 4 hours to see people play Sea of Thieves before it's turned off at 5 o'clock. It's been good. I've enjoyed it.
Would any of you pay to attend a digital event that was exclusive? Let's say if they made EGX a paid for event where you can demo some games through Google Stadia or something like that, and play online for the 3 days, and they can take you through stuff. You'll get exclusive content. Would you pay for that? Like, would you pay for a ticket at EGX? Mike?
I don't think I would, to be honest. I mean, it's because there's already a precedent for not paying for these events, so I'd kind of be like, why do you have to pay now? I mean, those are good ideas though, with adding the added incentives of being able to play the demos of these games now, and that would actually be a very good idea for Stadia, I think.
Yeah.
But
I want
know.
a percentage cut of that, Google, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so you take my idea.
We'll take that. Mail that to yourself in the post.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like the events. I think the virtual events have been really good this year, but there is something that's a little bit lost about the atmosphere of it. There's something a little bit disconnected about it, which it needs that human element brought back in. We need the crowds that are gonna laugh at, I don't know, Miyamoto trying to throw a Pikmin, or those kind of moments, which they're parcel of what make it good for me as well. So
yeah, I do think there's an element to what you say there. Not just in terms of the press. I know, Luke, obviously you kind of wanted just to keep the public out and just have the press in there. But part of the enjoyment is sometimes is seeing the hype. I know I hate waiting in queues as well, but actually seeing a hype for a game, it makes it justifies it to you. As to why you're standing in line for a Final Fantasy demo or a Doom Eternal demo at the time when I was queuing last year for certain things. I mean, who am I kidding? I didn't queue for any of those, so I just went straight to the front of the line. But it justifies it. You can see a long queue for a lot of these things, and I don't know. You get to meet people at events. I think Comic-Con's even more wacky because obviously you got the cosplay element of it as well. You've got a few other things that you might be introduced to that take you out of your comfort zone. There might be a game that you probably wouldn't have any otherwise played. You wouldn't have never downloaded the demo. You'd have never watched a video of it because you've walked past the stand. And I think P-Cubed is a good example of this, actually. Well, maybe even NIS America. There's games that I don't know about, but I go to their stand because I know that they make great games and they publish and develop great games. And I'll be like, oh, what's that? And then I'll go on YouTube and figure it out. Or play the game if they've got it exhibited there. I don't know if you guys have ever sort of discovered a game like that doesn't necessarily have to be any of those games. But Sandy, I know anime is sort of your forte. Is there something that you've ever discovered at these events that you wouldn't have otherwise done if you hadn't gone?
So funnily, it's not actually an anime game, but last year I had the chance to finally use PlayStation VR. Got my hands on Truth and Blood, and like I've been passing on the VR train this whole time since it started, and I picked it up and I was like, you know what, this is super intuitive and really fun, and the guy who was presenting it to me was like super chill and like, you know, he bigs it up and all this, and it is kind of sad not to have that interaction with the people who are, you know, making the games and stuff like that, because they really help sell it. They can explain things you've never heard of before. But yeah, I'm now seriously considering picking up Truth and Blood because of that event, even though I haven't done it yet.
Yeah,
because the VR is unavailable, but when it next comes back, I'm on that.
Yeah, you never know. There could be a PlayStation 5 VR coming somewhere down the line, hopefully.
Indeed.
But no, you're right. It's a great experience. VR is a great example because the cost of that is prohibitively quite expensive. I mean, the cost of the consoles itself, you know, people being able to get their hands on a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X, once they come back in stock, people are going to want to know which one they want to buy. And sometimes these events and conventions definitely help make those decisions for people. I think the fact that they've, you know, the fact that they're high sellers and that people are a little bit concerned that Microsoft and Sony think, well, why do we need to go to events? Why do we need to spend all this marketing money on buying a booth and a stand, doing all the presentation and hiring a bunch of people to run the stand for us when these consoles are selling out left, right, and center? I don't think they'll take that approach because the amount of people they introduce to the consoles at events is phenomenal. But yeah, just before we wrap this up then, Luke, Mike, Sandy, any of you have any final thoughts on conventions going public next year and if it's possible? Sandy? Or Luke?
I was just going to say I had the same experience as Sandy, but virtually. I had a NIS did a conference with me, which was really exciting, and I had that convention excitement again, and I was with the marketing manager and one of the playtesters, and it was about an hour and a half Zoom meeting. Other meeting systems are available, and we just played through some games. Like they showed what they were bringing out this year, and it introduced me to a lot of stuff that I wouldn't normally play. There's a great game called Mad Rat Dead, which was something they went through, which I ended up picking up on review, I think, which is something I wouldn't have even thought about. So I think maybe it is possible to do those kind of things virtually, but I totally agree with you. It's the buzz of being there, and I think that certainly is something you need to think about if you are going to go digitally. I don't know how you'd incorporate that, maybe like the Thunderdome or something.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, what about yourself? I mean, that's not a bad idea, Luke, in terms of the Thunderdome, but I'm not quite sure that would work. Yeah.
People sat around a monitor of a laptop, like just.
I'd like to be the virtual general manager.
Yeah.
Start making some decisions in areas. Mike, what would you prefer to see happen then? Has it ever influenced you to pick something up? And
yeah, absolutely. I'm always on the lookout for, especially like I love those indie games that don't get attention until these events kind of come up, and then you've got eyes on it, you've got a captive audience, and often you find a lot of gems in there, you know. So yeah.
I would actually like to give a shout out to a game. It's going to be really bad because I can't remember the name of the game. There was a game I now know it. It's actually on my PC desktop right here. It's called X Zodiac, and what I will do is find out the name of the developer. It's a one-man developer, and this game is like the original Star Fox or Starwing. People, wow. I think there's a free demo on Steam. You guys can go and play it. It's a Kickstarter project by Ben tackling. I found this. Found it, I think, sort of pendant corner. I can't remember what they call it now. If they call it resed corner even, but go and have a look at this. It's a sort of low polygon on rails shooter. I think there's a free demo on Steam. It's been worked on for quite a while. I'm not quite sure when it's finally coming out, but that game, if you saw that game, you would love it. I think all of you would love it if you're all Star Fox fans. But if I hadn't gone to GX, I don't think I would have ever discovered this game. So, let's hear it for some indies, because I do feel sorry for them. I think while they've probably had less impact on them in terms of development ways. Obviously, there's a lot of big studios like the guys at CD Projekt Red who probably had issues having full access to their development kits and stuff like that from home. These guys, the indie guys probably have no issue. The real issue is getting the game out there in terms of marketing and getting it into people's hands. Probably now the issue for them. So I do think the events need to come back. I like all of you lot there. I think Sandy, you probably hit the nail on the head. I think later in the summer, once as vaccines have come in, once I think we've seen numbers recede quite a bit. But if the numbers are even, if we're still talking about this in July next year, in terms of numbers and deaths and things like that, I wouldn't feel comfortable to go, because I just feel like it'd be a hotbed.
By that time, we're probably talking 2022, maybe even mid 2022 before anything starts up again. But it might open up the field for an evolution of the digital events, adding in those factors like maybe being able to stream game demos as the presentation's going, or even having more personal presentations, maybe just sort of linked in with the sort of main overarching programming.
It would get me to sign up for Google Stadia if at E3 next year they said you can play all the demos from the show floor, or what would be the show floor, on Google Stadia now for free.
We haven't talked about what a good case Cyberpunk 2077 makes for Stadia at the moment as well.
Well, absolutely, and Mike, you're absolutely hitting the nail on the head there with the PC version being far superior. Have you got Google Stadia?
I haven't, but if I didn't have a PC to play it on, I would probably have considered the Stadia version rather than going on base PS4. So that could be an interesting thing as well that is going on.
Didn't they have a promotion? Google Stadia. I thought if you bought something,
if you had YouTube Premium, they were giving away free Stadia Premium for a little bit. I'm not sure if it's still ongoing though.
I thought there was a specific Cyberpunk Google Stadia. Sorry, I'm googling it now.
But random shout out while you're doing that. My colleague at work, he picked up his free premium Stadia stuff and then dropped a bit of money on Cyberpunk, and he's been having a great time with it. The only problem he had was the day after he bought it, his internet died, which wasn't not the best thing that's ever happened to him, but he has confirmed that it is very good when it is running.
So here it is.
That should be on the box, I think, for everyone. Very good when it's running.
You could have got it finished on December 17th. We're recording on the 21st. You could have got a free Stadia Premier Edition if you purchased Cyberpunk 2077. So you get the Stadia controller and the Chromecast Ultra at no additional charge. So you just buy the game and then you get the kit for free. It's not bad little deal that, but that's finished. It would be interesting. But I'm guessing as we wrap the show up then, you guys are playing Cyberpunk, correct?
Yeah, with a bit of Among Us as well thrown in.
Yep.
Yep. You're playing on Nintendo Switch?
PC, because I have a PC that'll run it now. Yeah. So why am I not buying Cyberpunk on a decent thing?
Yeah. So I don't know how it works without keyboard on Switch as well. That's like quite an key element of no pun intended of Among Us.
It is when you're playing it.
But I have, after the discussion of Animal Crossing as well, we started playing Animal Crossing again as well for festive period. So.
Nice. And Sandy, what about yourself? Have you been playing anything?
So I did put like 6 hours into Animal Crossing today, just rebuilding my town. I had my very first experience with Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice,
Great game.
and I died several times. And my sort of other main game that I've been playing, obviously I'm kind of limited to the Switch for most things. I've been playing Ghostbusters Remastered, and it is excellent. It's very good.
That is interesting. On Switch?
On the Switch.
Oh.
It runs so well. I was kind of expecting it to lag a bit because it's, the kind of Gears of War over-the-shoulder action game, but
It's
runs
on
really
offer
well.
at the moment, isn't it? I think it's about
Yeah,
£7.
It's down to 7, I think.
It's not bad. It's a good game.
It's not bad, and it came out relatively recently in the grand scheme of things for it to have such a large discount. So at least on Switch.
Incidentally, Epic Games Store gave it away for free on PC about a month ago.
I was just going to say, I think I've got it for free on Epic Games Store, but
I paid
actually,
for the physical
just-
Switch version.
Just for anyone listening right now, Epic Games Store have their 12 days of Christmas where they're giving away a game every day. I think today.
Alien
you probably-
Isolation.
Yeah, today's Alien Isolation. I'm not quite
really
sure
good.
if we're going to get this up in time for
Yeah.
you guys to be able to claim that. But every day, go
Today.
and check out the Epic Games Store. There'll be other games that are of equal probably value and prestige. So it's a great deal. You don't need there's no catch. You just create a login, and you can claim the game.
Fingers
so-
crossed for Cyberpunk on the last day.
Oh, that would be very
Not bad.
interesting.
It's like the only thing to save it.
The one thing I will say, Doom Eternal, been playing it on the Switch. I think it plays brilliantly. Yes, it's not the Xbox, Series X enhanced version, although I don't think there actually is one. But it's not the Xbox One X or PS4 Pro sort of style. There's a lot of muddy textures. It can run a bit slow, but realistically, I think performance-wise, it's fine. Gameplay-wise, it's absolutely great. It plays just like the bigger version, so to speak. I think it's incredible they've got it on Switch, but the one thing I will say about Doom Eternal, I would say that's probably the top end of what you could push. I think we've seen things like the Outer Worlds and The Witcher and a few other games have really tried to push the Switch, and I think we're at that limit now. I think unless obviously you go down the cloud streaming route, I think the Switch is probably hitting that top end capability of being able to port those games. So I think going forward, it's going to be very difficult. PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X games, exclusive games, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen there. So we can get more cloud stream games, or we can get Switch Pro or something, but who knows? All right, guys. Well, it's been an incredibly long show. We'd like to, from the Cube 3 team here, we'd like to wish you an absolutely Merry Christmas. We're not going to say Happy New Year just yet because we've got next week's show. And in next week's show, we're going to be talking about the Cube 3 Game Awards. And that is going to be... So we're concluding all the votes now internally. But that will be an absolutely sort of dedicated show towards that. And we'll talk about a few other things as well. But for now, Luke, do you want to read out your social tags?
It is at Lem207.
Mike?
Cool. I'm at movement with no E's in it, _matter with an E in it.
And Sandy?
I'm at Squidgy Buffalo.
And I'm at Flynn Neal. If you didn't know this already, we have a YouTube version of this podcast, or if you're watching us right now, we have a audio version of this video cast. And you can find that on Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn. Luke, where else can you find it?
Deezer.
Google Podcasts.
Google Podcasts.
Yeah.
Love
Wait, did you say
Love
Spotify?
Podcasts.
Oh, anywhere where you can
Basically,
find a podcasting service.
everything. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think there is nothing we are not on, apart from like a boat streaming audio.
Well, we do thank all of you anyway for being here and watching us, listening to us. If you have any feedback, you want to make any comments, you can go on to cube3.com, comment on the article that is for Glass to the Wall, or you can even comment on our YouTube video. We do really want to hear any feedback that you guys do have, so please feel free to do so. But for now, guys, that's everything. Take care.